Master Robuster on the beat.
We don't need cry for long. What I finish for our eyes. What I finish for our eyes.
Anaisa sia sunaya koma chisa for more. Anaisa sia sunaya koma chisa for more. Hallelujah tomorrow. Hallelujah tomorrow.
Wen koma igali kongo. Ichini konge. Wen koma igali kongo. Fabale kom ilema. Wen koma igali kongo. Ichini konge.
Yes, I tomorrow, because it by me boy. Yes, I tomorrow, me life of mana. Yali come what for the shit and those boy. Now you live with the man, now you live with one, don't want to boy.
Ibala come. When come Ibala come. Wabonga for a crowd to come.
We don't cry for long, we don't cry for long now. What I finish for our eyes, what I finish for our eyes. We don't cry for long, we don't cry for long now. What I finish for our eyes, what I finish for our eyes. Anaisa sia sunaya koma chisa for more. Anaisa sia sunaya koma chisa for more. Hallelujah tomorrow. Yes, I tomorrow, because it by me boy. Yes, I tomorrow, me life of mana. Yali come what for the shit and those boy. Now you live with the man, now you live with one, don't want to boy.
Ibala come. When come Ibala come. Wabonga for a crowd to come.
We don't cry for long, we don't cry for long now. What I finish for our eyes, what I finish for our eyes. We don't cry for long, we don't cry for long now. What I finish for our eyes, what I finish for our eyes. Anaisa sia sunaya koma chisa for more. Anaisa sia sunaya koma chisa for more. Hallelujah tomorrow. Yes, I tomorrow, because it by me boy. Yes, I tomorrow, me life of mana. Yali come what for the shit and those boy. Now you live with the man, now you live with one, don't want to
Master Robuster on the beat.
When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes a duty. Weber.
One day, God go hear our prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear our prayer. I say one day, God go hear our prayer, daddy oh. One day oh, God go hear our prayer. Una dey for bush oh, una no get chop oh, daddy oh. Una just pray oh, God go hear our prayer. Begin the need to go school, the day is a bush oh, daddy oh. Make we just pray oh, God go hear our prayer. Sing with me.
One day, God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
I say one day,
God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
see how a woman dead deep on that is a bush oh, daddy yeah. Oh, begin the day deep go school again, mama. Who will it cry oh? I go cry again oh, daddy yeah. One day, God go hear our prayer, daddy yeah. One day oh, God go hear our prayer. I say one day,
God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
I tell so painful for see one brother they kill another brother. Papa God, now you want to know this story. Now you want to know this story. My papa, what did happen for this place now? Hey, begin the day for bush oh, they no get water oh, daddy oh, then the sick oh. God go hear our prayer. We no get the house them, they don't burn our house them, daddy oh. Make we just pray oh, God go hear our prayer. Sing with me.
One day, God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
I say one day,
God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
see how they don't burn once, they burn somewhere so, mommy. Oh, see how we begin the day they go school, mommy the day for bush oh, papa the day they walk again no. Who go feed our picking there?
One day, God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
I say one day,
God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
picking the did die yo, mommy then did die yo, brother oh, United Nations, just the lucky mobby, politician them oh, daddy send his soldier oh, daddy yeah, for Kija brother, who go hear this story yeah. One day, God go hear one prayer oh, daddy yeah. One day oh,
God go hear my prayer.
I say one day,
God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
merci Yves Kemayo El Manager, tu as cru en moi. L'Éternel est mon berger, je ne manquerai de rien.
One day,
Gloire à Dieu, Maximo, champion.
one day, God go hear my prayer.
I say one day,
God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
Janju Foundation, espoir des enfants démunis, caravane Père Noël.
One day, God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer. One day, God go hear my prayer, daddy. One day, God go hear my prayer.
I see no boogie Jesus man. I see no boogie Chinaza me pere. Chine, China, Chineke onye ga-echeta m.
Gịnị ka m ga-eme
N'elu ụwa nke a,
gịnị ka m ga-eme
gịnị ka m ga-eme? N'elu ụwa nke a, gịnị ka m ga-eme? A sị na ọ bụghị chi na-enye nwa ya, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-enye di o, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-enye ego, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-ebuli elu o, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-aza m ekpere, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-anụ akwa nwa ogbenye, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-ekwuru nwa ogbenye ọnụ ya, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-eleta ndị na-enweghị nne o, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-eleta nwaanyị si mkpele, a sị na ọ bụghị chi na-eburu ndị ya agha, a sị na ọ bụghị Jehova jadere m ụwa, dadi m o, gwanụ m ihe m gara ime n'elu ụwa nke a, a sị na ọ bụghị Jizọs.
Gịnị ka m ga-eme n'ụwa nke a gịnị ka m ga-eme
It's not of him that
gịnị
runneth,
ka m ga-eme
of him that willeth, but it's of God that showeth
gịnị
mercy.
ka m ga-eme n'ụwa nke a gịnị ka m ga-eme
I sị na ọ bụghị Chineke,
gịnị ka m ga-eme
I sị na ọ bụghị Chineke,
gịnị ka m ga-eme
I sị na ọ bụghị chi na-eleta nwa ogbenye.
gịnị ka m ga-eme n'ụwa nke a gịnị ka m ga-eme
I sị na ọ bụghị Jehova, gịnị ka m ga-eme? Mgbe a chụrụ ụmụ m n'ụlọ akwụkwọ, gịnị ka m ga-eme? I sị na ọ bụghị Jizọs, gịnị ka m ga-eme? Mgbe landlord kụrụ m aka, gịnị ka m ga-eme? I sị na ọ bụghị Jehova, gịnị ka m ga-eme? Mgbe m na-enweghị ego nri, gịnị ka m ga-eme? I sị na ọ bụghị Jehova, gịnị ka m ga-eme? Mgbe n'ụwa jụrụ m ajụ, gịnị ka m ga-eme? A sị na ọ bụghị chi na-ebuli nwa ogbenye elu, ọ bụrụ na Jehova bụ chi na-ele anya n'iwe, ọ bụrụ na Jehova bụ chi na-elebara nwa, a sị na Jehova bụ chi na-ele n'edukeshọn, chi ma amaghị onye nwere ego, n'ihi na Jehova ma abụghị mmadụ, Jehova bụ Chukwu, ihe o kwuru ya ka ọ ga-eme. Eze nara ekele m o, gịnị ka m ga-eme?
on the hill. My people are not fools
the heat. You must let my people go, so we can rule from Cape to Cairo. You must free my people's hands, so we can rule our purpose land. I wanna know who owns the land. Who wanna know who owns the land? Okay, now listen carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be ruled by Africans. I wanna know who owns the land. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. We must rule our purpose land. I say, you wanna know who owns the land? I wanna know who owns the land. Aslan, hey, Papa Aslan, Papa Aslan, Papa Aslan. You must be free. Angola want to know who owns the land. Mozambique want to know who owns the land. Namibia want to know who owns the land. I say, so what you want to know who owns the land? Zimbabwe want to know who owns the land. African freedom fighters want to know who owns the land. Papa Slam. Now listen to the history. With the years since creation, with the years since creation, since the time of sun and sand, since the time of moon and stars, since the time of air and sea, since the time of men and things, we must run from Cape to Cairo. Okay, now I want to talk to my people. Ira Daniela, oh, Ewolo. Hey, Ira Daniela, oh, Ewolo. Epilisoro ba Daniela. Now we are the crossroads. On the Femo, Daniela. Epilisoro ba Daniela. Baba, yeah, opale mu Jesu yalako, opale mu tizanya beto ye, omije, omije, ojemelo demna bogise, opale mu jemelo demna bogiso.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ABC Amber Television Live coming to you from here in the great state of Texas, precisely in Houston, Texas. I like to say once more, good evening to all of you who are joining from ground zero, joining from ground one, joining from all of sub-Saharan Africa, and of course, all of you in the diaspora, everywhere in Europe, everywhere in Canada, in the USA, in South America, everywhere you find yourself, both Amazonians and Africans. Thank you for tuning in. It's a great pleasure to be back here with you with so much going on over the week, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to do some justice on what has transpired from ground zero over the week. Lots of things have gone under the table in my absence. I am glad I am here to bring you some insight of what has been going on. The killings, the murders, the carnage just continues, ladies and gentlemen, in Amazonia. and French Cameroon. French Cameroon, we hold them responsible. Don't touch your remote. Hit your share button. Hit your share button. Let everybody know the anchor man is back. Again, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be one of those very exciting presentation that I bring to you today. But before I go ahead, you remember what you have to do. What you have to do, you have to go ahead to hit your share button the moment you give me, ladies and gentlemen, 700 people on this Facebook platform. I will come to you with this presentation today. This is what will happen today. I wish I could stay longer to bring you some more developments from ground zero, from Ambazonia, unfortunately, because I want you to go home with the message that I bring to you today. I will not do any other thing after I carry on the presentation. But I promise you, I shall be back here tomorrow, and if possible, on Thursday too, because there is so much that has gone on since last week, and I like to take every one of them, one after the other, and bring you the analysis, the perspective that you should know in every one of those issues. So please, I will not take phone calls at the end of this broadcast. I will do the presentation, and after the presentation, I will say good night, and I will come back to you tomorrow. But before I get there, ladies and gentlemen, please hit your share button. We have just about 100 and something to go already. Hit your share button while I prepare to bring to you this very exclusive broadcast that I bring to you today. But before I get there, and while you hit your share button, I just like to remind all of you ABC fans out there in all of Africa, everywhere where you happen to find yourself. Remember, we are having ABC Amber Draft. ABC Amber Draft coming up next weekend. August the 30th, next weekend, August the 30th. But before then, we are taking on a one-week telethon, so that those of you out there, fans of ABC, supporters of ABC, can come in and chip in a donation to help us sustain and operate this channel that is so dear to you. So please, I'm just reminding you, get ready to support ABC. I also promise we are bringing you we are launching the news department of ABC beginning at the end of the month. We had thought that by the 20th we were going to launch that, but for some technical reasons we are still putting things together to get set by the end of the month. So that is what is coming up here. So please, I am pleading with you, especially those of you who live in the USA. ABC is a 501c3 organization, and you can rest assured that every dime that you donate to ABC will be tax deductible. So please join us in the coming weeks to draft for ABC. Support ABC. God bless you all. Ladies and gentlemen, we have less than 100 people to go. If you are just joining Facebook, please go ahead, hit your share button. Hit your share button. Let us make it 700 until I come to you. Why do I doing so? I see the numbers actually jumping. Please hit your share button. You give me 700 on this Facebook platform, I come to you. And why you do so? We have learned, ladies and gentlemen, of a planned protest march, a certain plan. I should call it not plan, but stage. A stage protest march being planned for the southern zone, precisely, I think, in Boya, by the colonial governor and colonial administrators in that city. I would like anybody in Boya or in the environs who is planning to participate in any form of rally, protest during the time of war on the side of French Cameroon, that when you come out, you take money, you collect a dime from La République du Cameroon and go out for any protest. Nothing may happen to you, but we will mark you out. We will mark you out, and we will come after you like bees, because anybody going out for any form of demonstration is the highest hypocrite that we can think of, ladies and gentlemen, including those so-called women, Southwest, Northwest women, who are out there planning rallies and protest marches all over the place. We are warning you. You don't want to portray yourself as the worst hypocrites that we have known in this struggle. Please do not step out for any form of protest or rally anywhere in Ambazonia, because we never saw you protest the massacres in Garebo. We never saw you protest the killing of Mami Api. We never saw you protest the killing and decapitation of Sam Sawyer. We must not see any one of you step out anywhere in Boya, in Victoria, in Bamenda for any rally. Again, we will take note of your activities should you dare step out for that, for any protest. All right, I hope you got this. Ladies and gentlemen, hit your share button. I wish I could expatiate a little more on this subject, but it's a vexatious issue, a very, very hypocritical issue, what these women, so-called, are trying to do. Over 15,000 Ambazonians have been killed from 2016. And these so-called women have never as much as cared to step out to protest for any of them. And now, La République du Cameroon kills or plot and kill a single person in Moyoka, and these so-called women are stepping out, going to the U.S. Embassy to protest. Shame on you. You are the worst hypocrite that we have known in this struggle. We will come back to this in the days ahead, ladies and gentlemen. But I just want to remind you and thank all our refugees in Calabar for standing up to Bernard Okalia. Bernard Okalia, who was planning a visit to Calabar. Our refugees stood up like one man and refused Okalia, sent a message to the Nigerian government, to the Calabar government, and refused Okalia, Bernard Okalia, that visit to Calabar. And I hope that La République du Cameroon officials are getting the messages that these people, our people, are sending out to their government. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've given me almost 800 people right now. I won't hold you waiting. All these issues, subjects here, I will come back to them tomorrow. I will come back to them tomorrow with a panel on which we will deliberate. Now, I can't keep you waiting anymore. I can't keep you waiting anymore. I should bring to you today's presentation. And again, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I will not be taking any calls today at the end of the broadcast. I just want you to listen and take this message to whatever quarters you can take it, meditate upon it, and know that these are the facts of what happened last week. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. On behalf of the interim government of Ambazonia, I come to you today with rather very sad memories. I would instead have loved to come to you with news of good tidings, as usual. But no, not today, unfortunately. In recent weeks, Ground Zero has witnessed continuous, well-thought-out and systematic schemes by a common enemy, La République du Cameroon, carrying out in the most brutal and vicious manner cowardly killings of our people, and without the least remorse, turn around to want to pin it on the Ambazonian Restoration Forces. The case of Chi Comfort, the young lady cut down at her prime in Moyoka last week, isn't one in isolation and remains very, very fresh in our memories. Since her brutal assassination last week, we, the interim government of Ambazonia, have come under severe scrutiny from both the press and human rights organizations, fiercely, very, very fiercely, to figure out who carried out the cold-blooded assassination, or better still, who is guilty and who should be held responsible. I have realized one trend, though. Often, the inquisitors approach me already settled or decided that the separatists, as I like to refer to all of us, are responsible for the cruel murder of Chi Comfort. Last Friday, when I responded to questions from the Voice of America radio bordering on this matter, I made it forcefully clear that the interim government isn't going to be shielding or covering up for any person or persons belonging to the Ambazonia Restoration Forces if found responsible for the Moyoka peculiar assassination. I stated, however, that we were still in the process of uncovering the exact criminals of the Moyoka murder, and that should they turn out to be fighters loyal to this interim government, that we will actually disown them. Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to take us very, very seriously in this matter. The interim government still stands by this pronouncement. The killers of Chief Comfort and all other killers of Ambazonian civilians out there will be smoked out. May I remind you that this interim government set out to prosecute this war with a full understanding, ladies and gentlemen, of wartime international humanitarian law that exempts the civilian population, humanitarian workers, hospitals, and churches from all forms of aggression. And apart from a few incidences beyond our control, we have actually lived up to the standard expected of us from international instruments governing the conduct of wars such as this one. In fact, footages upon footages of video abound of yours truly, not only threatening some of our own soldiers when they have inappropriately conducted themselves. We have actually named some and indicted some and taken them out of the front lines, the battle lines, ladies and gentlemen. In some cases, we have had reason to even ask whole communities in Ambazonia to rise up like one man and go after rogue fighters who threaten security and serenity in their communities. It is very, very important that I restate these so that those who write reports know we don't pay lip service to acts of brutality and criminalities when they concern our own. Unfortunately, the same standard doesn't obtain on the other side. This is a far cry from what the enemy, La République du Cameroon, is doing in the prosecution of this senseless war. For 4 years and counting, but intensified most recently, the occupier colonialists, our common enemy, La République du Cameroon, continues, ladies and gentlemen, to scheme up and systematically execute plots that end the lives of innocent civilians in the most cruel and deplorable manner in Amazonia. Please, do not be mistaken here, ladies and gentlemen. I am not putting the life execution of the lady in Moyoka on La République du Cameroon soldiers mainly, but neither are we at the interim government completely exonerating their schemes and from the Moyoka slaughter. Yesterday, Monday, April the 17th, French Cameroon soldiers invaded Moyoka and actually killed the 4 killers of Chi Comfort. But they are still keeping innocent boys that they picked up in a raid on Moyoka the other day in their cells. After our investigations into the Moyoka incident, this is what the interim government knows about the perpetrators of the act. We have been able to establish that the murderers who carried out the killing were indeed some of the fighters paying allegiance to the Amazonia Restoration Forces in Moyoka local government area. However, we want it known that General Charger, who has been heard in a recording confessing that he carried out the assassination, was never at the scene of that event. He was never at the scene of the incident. Contrary to his own statement in that recording, he was never in the company of those that murdered Chi Comfort in cool blood. You will not find his face, I beg your pardon, in the video footage taken during that assassination. General Charger was taken into custody by the interim government superior forces after his confession, and he disclosed during interrogations that he accepted responsibility for the deed only because he was promised 10 million francs CFA by a wannabe investigator in Texas. 2 reasons he said he claimed responsibility for the murder. Number 1, the caller, the wannabe investigator in Houston, Texas, with little or no credibility, considering that he happens to be a big-time fraudster and a felon in that matter, presented himself to General Charger during the phone call as someone who could support him financially as a way of thanking or encouraging Charger to keep on the good work, in quotes. Number 2, he also introduced himself to Charger, General Charger, as a supporter of the Amazonian liberation struggle, whereas he is not. Indeed, he is a strong One Cameroon advocate, a member of the Black Legs, so-called, or Peace Ambassadors, the band that operates under the sponsorship of Dion Ngute, the Prime Minister of French Cameroon. The point here, ladies and gentlemen, is that General Charger's confession was born out of avarice induced in him in the pretext of funding for more material. However, we state here categorically that Charger admitted during interrogations that the boys who conducted the barbaric assassination of Chi Comfort were indeed his subordinates from the same barrack. We note here that When the interim government picked up General Charger into custody for interrogation after his admission of responsibility, perhaps, fearing that the act will eventually zero down on them, the boys, the actual perpetrators of the act, took off. They absconded. However, yesterday, Monday, August the 17th, a battalion of French Cameroon BRRO soldiers descended on Moyoka as everyone was home for the ghost town and got the killers of Chief Comfort, 4 of them in number, killed. After the Cameroon soldiers left, the Moyoka community gathered and buried the remains. But at around 6 p.m. same day, yesterday, the same soldiers returned to Moyoka, arrested a number of people, and touting their guns over their heads, forced them to exhume the bodies of the killers from the grave. Once this was done, they took photographs of the corpses before leaving. We now know that General Charger is being hunted by French Cameroon soldiers because he is privy. He is privy to some information that we will bring to you on a separate occasion. The boys who carried out the brutal killing of Comfort in Moyoka were actually paid to play, ladies and gentlemen, by La République du Cameroon, so that it's easy to pin it on the Ambazonia Restoration Forces. The video footage of the incident was taken by La République du Cameroon agents accompanying the killers. We now also have learned just this afternoon that La République du Cameroon soldiers went back to exhume and take photos of the bodies of those killers, just so to be sure they had actually killed the right perpetrators, maybe to cover some evidence. Justice has therefore been served for the killers of Chief Comfort. Even so, we want Ambazonia to rest assured that this interim government will deploy all resources at its disposal to hunt down and smoke out the real managers, the real orchestrators of the murder. And we know them. They are La République du Cameroon agents. Let me seize on the incident to hope that all the Ambazonia Restoration Forces learn a lesson from this. The interim government has said it before, and I will say it again, that even though we face a brutal, uncultured regime and army in La République du Cameroon, none of our fighters will go unpunished should they get into this kind of unruly conduct. What happened in Moyoka has never happened in the 4 years of this conflict. Not even against a captured enemy fighter. This is to foment the fact that La République du Cameroon agents engineered this whole assassination in Moyoka. No matter what, no matter Ambazonian citizen, no one Ambazonian citizen should ever have to die the brutal and dramatized death that Chief Comfort died in Moyoka last week. No Ambazonian should have to be harassed, abducted, and extorted by another Ambazonian. We constantly need to remind ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, that this war is against La République du Cameroon alone. That's our common enemy. They are our legitimate target. And no mercies should ever have to be shown to any of their enablers, captured, dead or alive, in our territory. French Cameroon colonial SDOs and DOs, their mayors, colonial mayors, and so-called colonial government delegates remain legitimate targets in all of Ambazonia for as long as they refuse to heed the instructions to retreat beyond the Mongol. We must hunt them down and pursue them out like rats. From the Mongo to Inkambe, we must not allow any colonial facilitator or enabler to walk freely on our streets. Since they choose not to live, we must make life a living hell for them in our country. Every La République du Cameroon economic vestige also remains a legitimate target in Ambazonia. All their citizens living in Ambazonia charged with facilitating colonial hegemony and entitlements remain legitimate targets also. La République du Cameroon is evil. We will not continue to nurture the evil to prosper within the territory that we refer to as the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Everything French Cameroon, from their educational system to their civil law and their language and institutions, remained again legitimate targets that must be exterminated from our territory. They are not brothers. French Cameroon, they are not brothers. They have never been. They will never be. They cannot be. Let me seize on this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of the interim government, to formally pay our condolences to the bereaved children and family of Chief Comfort in Moyoka. We see your tears and your agony. We feel your pains too. Nobody who witnessed the dramatic unfoldings at the scene in Moyoka cannot feel unpetrified. We pray that you all will find healing and comfort in the many prayers of Ambazonians who feel the same injustice that you feel today. We pray that you find rest and comfort in the scripture that says, God is a God of justice. Now that we know the killers are gone, the agents of French Cameroon who set up the plot that killed Comfort can run and hide from us, but they can't hide from God's own justice. Their own moment of justice will come, and who knows, may come even more speedily than expected. We vigorously apologize for what happened to your sister. Let it be clear that the killers were not acting under any instructions from this interim government of Ambazonia. They acted on their own, on coercion from French Cameroon agents. Permit me to state, however, that in war, such unfortunate things do happen. I mean, bad things happening to good people. In our case, we will not attribute the blame for this only on the actual perpetrators, those who created the environment for such crimes. In this case, La République du Cameroon must be held to account too. Ladies and gentlemen, these killings and barbarism continues only for one reason. La République du Cameroon has refused to dialogue. It's this simple. The war has dragged on for 4 years, the same amount of time within which Biafra was settled. Plans for international mediation have dragged on for close to 2 years now, and nothing has happened because La République du Cameroon won't go to table. All the blames for all the killings in Ambazonia, and I mean all of them, should be squarely put on the regime in Yaoundé. Their belligerents has stalled the mediation process. They keep on dragging their legs, hoping that they did decimate or wipe out all of Ambazonia restoration fighters, and declare victory and not have to negotiate anything. Had they chosen mediation, say 1 year ago, or say 6 months ago, perhaps the environment that created the brutal assassination of Chief Comfort would never have been there. Who knows? There may have been a ceasefire and an end to hostilities. But thanks to their obstinacy, this hostile climate prevails, and it will continue unabated, and more lives will still be killed. Let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, Ambazonia isn't going to drop down a single weapon, not until an enduring international settlement is reached. We all have to live free or die fighting. The interim government hopes that those who have been outraged at the brutal assassination of Comfort, and rightly so, but wrongly attributing it to the restoration forces, will in same degree of disgust now condemn La République du Cameroon for creating the environment that led to this inhumanity of man to man. We hope that the international community will prevail on the regime in Yaoundé to account for the countless other extrajudicial killings their soldiers and clandestine vigilante groups have directly or indirectly carried out against innocent civilians in Ambazonia. No one's life is any more important than another. As painful and gory as the side of the Moyoka incident may be, she isn't any more important than Tom Sawyer, who was pulled out of his shop in Bello by La République du Cameroon gendarmes in February 2018, then rushed to Bamenda and killed in one of the most contemptuous ways. A live video footage of Sam Sawyer's assassination showed La République du Cameroon gendarmes literally chopping his body into pieces before totally severing his head from his neck. No outrage, no indignation, no accounting, no investigation has ever been carried out in Sam Sawyer's case. How about this baffled incident in June this year, where a civilian, we learned he was a taxi driver, was killed by Cameroon soldiers, his head cut off and hung on a stick by the roadside like in a souvenir. In this particular case, the perpetrator soldier of La République du Cameroon actually confessed to the crime, but nothing, again, nothing, and I mean nothing, no justice was brought to bear on that soldier. Ladies and gentlemen, he was rather withdrawn from Bamenda to Yaoundé and given promotion. In November 2017, the face of an innocent 14-year-old girl known as Eileen was completely shattered by a trigger-happy Cameroon soldier in a killing expedition in the town of Kumbo in Bui County. Very little outcry and condemnation was heard. The poor girl, as I speak to you today, remains disfigured for life. I can go on and name so many more victims of French Cameroon extrajudicial killings on innocent civilians in Ambazonia, which have gone without these human rights groups and the French Cameroon media screaming about it. I can name the 4 months baby matter in Sem Moyoka. I can name Mami Api in Kwakwa. I can name the 16-year-old Bessem Enos shot and killed by same French Cameroon soldiers only last Friday. Why are the right groups and the Cameroon media not screaming for the investigations and justice for these ones too? Why have the so-called Northwest Southwest women not staged a single protest for these ones too? Where has the corresponding outrage and indignation for these ones been, ladies and gentlemen? Insofar as all lives matter, La République du Cameroon soldiers must be brought to justice for these and so many genocidal crimes they have committed in Ambazonia. We abhor and detest anything La République du Cameroon. They are colonial occupiers, murderers, and genocide facilitators who must face the court for genocidal crimes committed against our people. Fellow Ambazonians, one more thing before I end this presentation. On several occasions, I have drawn your attention in the past to the corrupt and fraudulent pay-to-play kind of journalism that is practiced at a newspaper called The Guardian Post in Yaoundé. We have actually advised Ground Zero to stop patronizing, stop purchasing, stop buying the paper because it is sold out to bias and unfair practice in their reporting on this struggle. We have observed again and again a habit in this so-called newspaper. Each time an incident like the Moyuka case is alleged to have been committed by the restoration forces, the newspaper will run away with screaming headlines, indicting our fighters even before setting out to investigate what happened. But when La République du Cameroon occupying soldiers commit genocidal crime such as have been stated above, you never see such shrieking headlines or stories from the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post newspaper is a snare to this struggle. We have since found out that it is indeed sponsored by the regime in Yaoundé to smear this liberation struggle. However, we have had opportunity to reason, to talk to speak sense to the populations on several occasions, but he will not agree to temper his reporting with fairness. He continues to be paid by La République du Cameroon to publish unverifiable stories against the struggle, most of which are slander, blackmail, while at the same time covering up for La République du Cameroon systematic genocide in our country. You want to know the bias I'm referring to here? Ask the Guardian Post publishers, for example, to show you their headlines, their cover story for Ngarabu massacres. Ask them to show you their headlines for the beheading in Bafut, the massacres in Bali, in Kwakwa, in Pinyin, for Mami Api, or for the 16-year-old Besem Eno brutally killed only last Friday, ladies and gentlemen. The Guardian Post has outlived its usefulness and no longer serves as a legitimate journalistic publication. We at the interim government therefore consider publishers of the Guardian Post as accomplices to the genocidal crimes being perpetrated against our people, and we will no longer tolerate the newspaper circulation anywhere in all of Ambazonian territory. The Guardian Post newspaper going forward is considered a contraband product in Ambazonia. It is prohibited from circulating in our territory. The kiosks, the agents and vendors distributing the Guardian Post in Ambazonia are by this decision advised to, with immediate effect, stop the circulation of the newspaper. Mesa Press is particularly warned to desist from distributing the Guardian Post anywhere, and in any form in all of Amazonia. This order will remain in effect until further notice. As we forget, this conflict isn't about democracy or freedom of speech. So you don't sit there and scream saying, oh, they are now banning newspapers. No, it is not. Ours is a struggle for liberation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a fight, and we fight for a purpose. Therefore, anything that impeach or stand on the way as an obstacle will be totally eradicated. The Guardian Post is only one of them. We have not banned any other newspaper that you can tell. Only the Guardian Post. They are well-researched and well-written newspapers in that matter that are doing their best, giving the atmosphere to remain fair and balanced, that Ground Zero should read and patronize. And there are many of them. They have not been banned. I'm referring here to newspapers like The Post, The Voice, The Rambler, Eden, The Sun, The Star, among others. Fellow Amazonians, the state of our liberation struggle remains as strong as it can be. Amazonian restoration fighters continue to be creative, demonstrating such ingenuity in the invention of new weaponry that is beginning to see La République du Cameroon prize armor cars destroyed into pieces. Within the past 4 days alone, 6 of those machine gun propellers have been destroyed in the BLM. In Ngol-Ketunjia, the brave fighters there continue to harvest prize equipment from the enemy army in their territory. In Bui, the warriors continue to do exploits, sending many of Cameroon young scouts in the name of soldiers to visit Oli with Patrick Ekema. In Bafut, General Kata and the 7 Katas remain very formidable, in spite of the many raids to destroy them by the invading colonial army. In Kumba, the Amazonia forces have punctured efforts by colonial administrators to shut down Monday ghost towns. In Victoria, we all saw the bravery of our fighters yesterday as a grounded Motengene Victoria Road under broad daylight, calling the bluff of the invaders and occupiers. I can also talk of General Commando in Batibo, Gabonese, and the Fako Meme Black Tar Council. In Guti, restoration fighters too. Our decimation of La République du Cameroon economic interests is now costing them so badly. La République du Cameroon now survives only on counterfeit money. Counterfeit money they began to print. They are beginning to print money using illegal channels. And what that means is that lenders no longer want to lend money to them. Their so-called reconstruction has also hit the wall. They don't have the money for it, as no international partners except the French would want to give them money. Their plan is to avoid the negotiation table, drag this war on and on and on until Ground Zero gets tired and give up. You cannot give up. We cannot give up. Not at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, where we see lots and lots of international movements aimed at dragging La Republique to the negotiation table. Nobody should lie to you. The Swiss mediation is still very much on course and alive. Team Ambazonia is ready and patiently waiting for La Republique of Cameroon to indicate when it deems fit to meet on a negotiation table. In spite of all of this, all of that, of all what we see, we will win this war, ladies and gentlemen. Ambazonia is becoming a country. But if Ambazonia doesn't happen, rest assured that La Republique of Cameroon will never again exist in tranquility. God bless you, and long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Short live the war. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to coming back to you tomorrow with my panel to delve into some of these issues so that you can gain some illumination as to what is happening. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Good night.